Good afternoon. This is June Gothberg, aka Wilogate, and I'm part of the Starbeam.one family. I'm both an artist and a collector on Starbeam.one, and I am really interested in understanding other artists' journeys to becoming an artist and then to selling their art online. So because of that, I'm doing interviews with artists, and this is our third interview, and I am so excited to have the opportunity to interview artist, collector, and CEO of Starview, Mike, also known on Twitter as Mike-E-angelo.
Hello.
Now, I have given strict instructions to Mike that today we want to hear about his artistic journey. If you're interested, though, in learning more about his work on creating Starbeam.one and the community there, I encourage you to check out his YouTube channel where he gives regular updates on everything he's doing to his stakeholders. So, Mike, what an honor it is to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, thank you, June, for interviewing me. It's an honor to be here and to be interviewed. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, if you're ready, I'm just going to start asking questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey becoming a traditional artist?
Yes, thank you for having me here and for the opportunity to answer that question. You know, I started as wanting to be a comic book artist out of high school, and when you asked for my favorite works, I've really been getting into my portfolio recently and lately, and I have been for some time now. I have all my favorite works from my portfolio from when I was in high school and college. You know, this lasts up until college, and really that's kind of how I started with, you know, wanting to be a comic book artist, and that's where it all started. And then I got into computers, and I know we're not supposed to be talking about computers, but you know, I really was always drawn to comic books, and you know, what you see here, most of the works here are from pencil sketches because I wanted to be a penciler with, you know, with comic books, and just having that as a life goal before I got into computers. And so with, you know, Starbeam.one, that's what I want to do, is combine those two and revisit that and put them, put my works, my traditional artworks on for sale on Starbeam.one. And now we have AI to, that's along for the ride as well. So that's sort of where we're at right now.
So that is just really interesting, and especially in this world of AI and all of that. What does it mean to you to be able to have that opportunity to share traditional art for sale online on Starbeam.one?
Well, you know, I guess as any artist out there, you're probably looking for a little bit of validation, and just to get exposure. And, you know, you want to have the ability to share your artwork and get noticed. And you find very quickly that no one really notices you because there's just so many others that are out there that are like you, that are wanting to do the same thing. And now with AI art, you really have way more of that, right? That is just so saturated, and it's becoming even more difficult to do so. And really, the people that stand out are the ones that are persistent. And even then, you aren't guaranteed anything. And so, you know, for me, it's just a way of standing out, but also bringing others on and having them stand out as well. And it's a way, you know, you think about AI art, I think about this a lot. There's just so much art that's out there, and it's generated so much, with such quantity and so quickly, that it's just really difficult to stand out. And what we're doing is we're memorializing it, right? We're capturing a slice of that, and we're doing that in a way that commemorates it and memorializes it on Starbeam.one with our digital licenses. And so that's kind of what I look at right now. That's kind of how we're standing out, is that we capture that and we commemorate it and memorialize it with our digital licensing.
Awesome. So reeling you back in to talk about art. Tell me a little bit about how you develop your art skills.
Let's see. So, you know, I've spent about an hour every night with art. that's the ideal me.
Mhm.
Digital tablet. I really wanted to get into digital, digital drawing again with getting into penciling, and I never deviated from my penciling. I was, with comic books, you're a penciler, or you can be an ink, or you can be a color, or you can be all three. And then you also have people who do the text blocks as well, and story writers. And so it's kind of like a band, right? You think of bands
Mhm.
with different roles, and they have different, they're specialists in different ways. And so for me, I just always did pencils, and I just think there's just so much, variation to that. There's just so much to learn with that. And one of the constant themes of feedback that I get right now is with, am I going to get into coloring and color my pencils? And no, I think the gray and the silver and the shades of gray that we have for penciling is enough color to stand on its own. And there's just so much to learn about that. And so but really, that's, getting back to like how with my art and how I'm trying to hone that is with having an hour every night and spend an hour at least practicing that. And
Mhm.
I'm using AI right now, and that's a lot of my recent drawings is taking AI as reference to have a generation that I really appreciate, then use that as the reference and practice on that.
Good. And I think that's a good thing to talk about right now because people are watching and they're seeing your artwork scroll in the background and they're probably noticing, yes, there are pencils used, but then something else will pop up. Do you want to talk a little bit about that difference between penciling and your AI work?
Yeah, so I mean that's just a way of exploring that, right? And so I am a traditional artist, and so I'm sort of in the camp. I'm in both camps, right? Like I appreciate the AI art and how beautiful it is, right? It's so easy to make, and it's just such a striking tool. And but also at the same point, traditional artists, I've been doing this for many years, and I've had so much experience. Most of you can see, a lot of these are from my portfolio. You can just see the graphite smudges from my hand of just spending so much time and having that accumulate. And that's a telltale sign. Obviously, that's, some people don't like that, but it's just one of those things where you can tell someone's really been working on an image, and you see that some artists accept that and others do not. But like when I was younger, there you could see that I clearly appreciated that, and so, and it's in a lot of my drawings here. But you don't have that anymore with digital tablets, and with AI. Getting back to how this is used, it's sort of a way of connecting with that, right? Like you know AI is a threat to art or traditional art. Well, no, it's not. I still think that you can use that to practice. And so I think there's a value in, at the end of the day, of having that skill and, improving it, right? And improving your skill set, your hand-eye coordination, just like a traditional artist. And I still think there's value there. And that's at the end of the day, you can still do that, and there is no threat to that. And so what I like to do is I like to have these generations, and then I also do like having, as you can see, a few of these are themes that I enjoy generating. And so yeah, I'm not as good as a lot of the artists that I associate with just yet, but I'm taking notes, and hopefully I do improve. But the one thing we have going for us is with Midjourney 5, Midjourney 5.1, it does a lot for you already, and it's just fun to explore that. And so that's kind of what I do. So I use for my traditional work for AI, I make a generation, or I have a generation that I see that I use, and then
Mhm.
I use that as a reference piece on. And most of my work is always very reference, but I do have a few of these that are originals as well. But the other thing that I do as well is these themes. So you've got Roaring Twenties, which you see with the lions,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then I do things like, as you're seeing here with poetry, written word. I will take that entire text that you see there, and I will plug it into Midjourney, and it will generate that generation that you saw there too. So it's things like that that I use to kind of create art with AI and not fight it, I guess, for the most part.
Great, great. So when you're thinking about either your pencil or your AI, who are your biggest artistic influences?
Well, I have to go to comic book. Stephen Platt,
Okay.
definitely was a huge influence. Jim Lee was another one. Image Comics was really where I got my start, and they are huge influences. But Stephen Platt in general, in particular, really just once I saw his art, I was like, wow, I want to draw like that. And I never, I actually did get a few of his drawings in there, and I did okay. But from reference, I felt really happy. A few of my favorite drawings are of his, but uh, that was back in the day with Image Comics, and I found out there was a lot of drama that happened with that. But with Image Comics, that was all a bunch of really talented comic book designers who got together and created a new studio, and they were all entrepreneurs, and it was such an exciting time back then. I want to say like early 90s or so, and it was just ground shaking, at the time of having these, you had Marvel and DC, of course, but then there's Image Comics, which is basically the best from Marvel and DC making their new studio, and it was very cool. So basically, those are the old school influences that I have for drawing, for traditional.
Do you have any artistic influences for your AI art?
So right out of the bat, mostly everyone that I see on my timeline, I have to say I have a few that I look at, but I'm more just appreciating the art for AI at the moment. Like
Okay.
it's more of I'm not really finding myself gravitating towards having that particular style. I'm just really appreciating it, and there's just so much to appreciate about it. But I'm not gravitating to one particular person saying I have to copy their style or incorporate their style in one way. At the present, I'm still learning it mostly. So,
Right.
and also, with AI, I just mostly have a few prompts that I do, and I don't really put a lot of effort into it, which is kind of the appeal to it, I guess, for me, is that you can get a lot done by not putting a lot of effort in, but you can by doing the opposite of that and do, there's a lot of bells and whistles for that. But yeah, I'm really still a newbie. I'm feeling a bit of an imposter when it comes to AI at this point.
Well, you're not.
Thank
Um, so
you.
from your artist lens, so thinking about your artist lens, what is your favorite thing about Starbeam.one?
The community, by far and away, the community that we have going right now is just amazing to me. And on Twitter, the Twitter community that we have, and on Discord, that is what Starbeam.one is right now. And it's very special and dear to me, and I love everyone out there who has been taking the time to try things out, and I'm glad for the most part it has not broken, and there haven't been too many bugs and errors that people have encountered, and it's growing, right? So we have 200 members now, and we're almost up to 100 artists, and over 100 collectors. And so you can build the best product in the world, but if there's no one there using it, it doesn't go anywhere. You learn that very quickly, right? And so just very excited about our community. And also that's one of the very the reason why part of the reason why I say that is that's the feedback that we get of why other people like Starbeam.one is
Right,
because of the community.
right.
And so we want to grow that, and we want to foster that. And so that's kind of what I appreciate it most about it. Every day, just talking with people, that's something I definitely appreciate.
Well, and just to affirm that, so often I hear other artists call it the Starbeam.one family.
Right. Yeah.
And it does. It has a community family feel to it. It doesn't mean that everybody always agrees or gets along, just like families don't always agree and
Oh
get
yeah.
along and have
Oh yeah.
differences. But
Absolutely.
definitely. So, how do you define success as an artist?
Uh, Getting noticed. I saw that question, and I kind of wanted to be honest about that. There's a certain validation that goes along with being an artist, I think, because you don't create art in a vacuum. Unless you're you have a particular style, I guess.
Mhm.
If you're not social or you just do art by yourself, art is meant to be shared, and it's learning about that, and there's a certain feedback mechanism that goes along with that, a feedback process. And so I think there's validation in for me, at the end of the day, validation happens through sales. You can do likes,
Right.
if I'm being honest, having your art being sold is the ultimate validation. And I think I've said this a few times in Starbeam.one Discord and on Twitter, but definitely in the Discord is that we talk about this. This is the,
Right.
do we want to have a like button? No, we don't want to have a like button, because purchasing something from someone is way more valuable than a like, and
Right.
it signals so much more. When you depart with your money, you're sort of saying that is the ultimate like to someone, right? And so
Right.
yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about it. I know that's probably other people don't agree with it, but for the most part, we do have a lot of artists that do like on Twitter, and that's what it's all about, and that's fine. Hey, and that's the great thing about free market, is that you're able to have that, and you're also able to prove if you can sell your art as well. And so, very grateful that we are in an environment where we can do both now.
So thinking about that, how do you determine how to price your art? What factors influence how you price your art?
So so one thing, well, I have some indicators on Starbeam.one. I know we're trying to stay away from that and stick with the art specifically, but we're learning that, right? We're learning what prices work and what do not. And as an artist, as you start, we want to have lower prices to kind of gauge the market. You could do ultra high prices, and I do see a few artists do this, especially with AI. There's one in particular that I'm monitoring, and they do super high prices in the thousands, and they haven't sold anything yet, right? Maybe they will. It would just take one sale to outdo everything that we've done on Starbeam.one so far, sort of thing. Well, they take a few for the total sale, but it would by far do more than any one artist has done, sort of thing. But it's interesting to watch, right? Like, this is kind of the thing you look at. It's like, how do you price your work? Well, I think it's best to be low risk, right? And start out low and sort of grow from there. There's a certain bit of humility that goes along with that, and I think that should be valued. But also, making it low risk for the other person that you are asking to purchase from you, right? And so, what we're doing now as part of that is having different markets with different price points, and you can try both and see what you do better at. And so, there's that element to that. And one of the things I wanted to mention with that, talking about pricing, the natural gravitation to when you do price is to do high, right? And once you make a sale, is you're kind of the inclination is to do another big sale, or whenever you list whatever your next product is, to be the same price or even higher, right? But one thing I've been kind of sort of referring to is when you do make a sale, and say you make a sale, a big sale at like $10, right? That's considered a big sale, or even 15. Try making the next product that you issue kind of back away from that. Actually, do like a 750 or maybe a 5 to kind of give some breathing room, right? So there's things like that to think about, because if you're always constantly pushing things, you're actually kind of pushing people away,
Yeah.
because people will entertain you for one purchase, but when you're like, yes, okay, let's do the next one, they're kind of maybe not so as excited about that sort of thing. So you kind of want to pull back a little bit, I think, and give people some space, give them some room, and also kind of show some humility as well. It's like, okay, well, hey, I just made $10, but and I could make, maybe go for 15, but let's take a little bit breather here and go for 7.5 or 5. So anyways, I saw that question. I kind of wanted to say that and say, this is kind of what I'm learning around that.
It's fun to listen to you say that, because you're a very analytical pricer. I'm such an emotional pricer.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If I love it so much and it's dear to my heart, it's going to have a much higher price tag.
Yeah. Well, I think we can learn from each other on that, right? Like, I do think about that. Like, I also, like, if I haven't made a sale in a while, it's going to go higher. If that's kind of the other thing too. But I also kind of gauge it a little bit, because I'm really sensitive to the sales, right? Like, if I do make a sale, yeah, I do. I still, I do it for the fun, but I'm also trying to make money from this, right? Like it would be awesome to be able to do this full time. And there's also the, I know we're trying to keep it to the art, but I own this, I own an art platform, and it would be really sad if I'm not able to, provide my own living from selling art on the art platform that I built. So that's also kind of in the back of my mind too.
So we're talking about all this money, but I have a feeling that's probably not your full purpose or goal for your work.
Right.
What is your purpose or your goal for your artwork?
So yeah, I mean, sort of the one of the things I view art as is a communication mechanism, right? And so there's definitely a philosophical value to art. I feel it's a way of communicating to another human being. And one of the ways I look at it is that I feel we're like, the best way I can, best analogy, getting back to like Plato, right? But I look at it as like a psychic cave, right? And I know there's an allegory of the cave, but I look at like life as a psychic cave, and we are scribing our notes of this cave on whatever we can, whatever medium we can. And that's what art is. It's scribbling on this psychic cave and leaving our mark. And so at the end of the day, that's what it is. And so there is money, and I do talk about money because there is business, and I'm definitely in that mode of proving myself there, right? So I definitely anticipate a time when I'm not so talky about money and saying money so much, but there is a philosophical element to this, and it is important to me, is this notion of communication, right? And also kind of there's a legacy component to that too, right? Like when you're gone, and all you have left are the things that you create. And so we are now in this place where we can leave the things that we create on this thing called the internet, and it can be digitally preserved. You can also physically preserve it as well, but that is you, right? And this is what you leave. And so I think there is definitely an important value behind that, and that's I think a personal goal for me as well.
So for our last question, I'm really excited to hear from you, because I feel like you are such a great coach to so many of us.
Thank you.
And have helped us along our journeys, and a lot of it's through Discord, but you have patience and understanding and time. You always give your time. So when you're thinking about those that are just starting out and just thinking about selling their art online, what advice do you have for those that are new?
One thing, and it's a cliche, don't give up. Don't give up. That's the only thing that will separate you from anyone else. And I've been watching a few other accounts that have been out there, tremendous talent, and it looked like they were actually going somewhere, and they stopped communicating, or just stop tweeting, or stop posting for whatever reason. Life's busy, right? And also speaking of finances, right, there's if you're not making a lot of money from this, you're not able to support yourself, while other things take priority, right? But if you really want to be successful, don't give up. I've been at this for almost 4 years now, and it's there has been a few times where giving up seemed like the perfectly natural thing to do. And it's I'm glad that I've been able to have the ability to stick with this and get to where we are today, and we're having a little bit of success finally. But yeah, that is really the only advice I can give you, is just don't give up, be persistent.
Great. And you sure have been. So that concludes our interview for today. And I forgot to point out, but on each of these slides that have been scrolling by, we have both of our Twitter accounts. So you can find me at Wilogate. You can find Mike at Mike-E-angelo on Twitter. And I encourage everyone to come check out Starbeam.one if you never have. And the address for that is alpha.starbeam.one. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yes, thank you. And this information will also be in the description on the YouTube video. So check for it there.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Bye.